You've been searching in the silence for a shadow that's been lost, of a certain disposition that was busy playing God. And you've been holding out for something, sure as hell I know I couldn't tell you what. With a heart that's slowly burning, all the workings in.
Welcome to
Project Miko.
Welcome to Project Miko.
Project Miko is an interdisciplinary,
Project Miko.
intergenerational.
Welcome to Project Miko.
Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for putting your time
to Project Miko.
Welcome.
Okay, this is a massive project. Get it together, Moiz. We can do this. We can absolutely do this.
Project Miko is an interdisciplinary, innovative and intergenerational solution to two of the world's biggest problems that we face: the climate crisis and the mental health crisis.
Everything you do, your actions, your lifestyle choices, that's all you. And I won't sit here and try to control it. That's just not my responsibility. But I just can't grasp how you don't understand how detrimental this is to you and your health. I have to set a boundary on how much I can enable this. Moiz, are you even listening? It's like you don't even exist. Moiz, who are you?
Welcome to Project Miko. Project Miko is an interdisciplinary, intergenerational and innovative solution to two of the world's biggest problems.
You need to be a bit louder.
Welcome to Project Miko, an interdisciplinary, intergenerational and innovative solution to the climate crisis and the mental health crisis.
I'm running out of time.
My name is Abdul Moiz Siddiqi. Currently, I work for a nuclear engineering firm, but prior to this, I worked in academic research, specifically focused on public healthcare and mental health. Actually, I released my first papers as named co-author at the age of 17, just before finishing my studies in space engineering. After this, I merged the topics together and focused on supporting research in space healthcare, specifically looking at astronaut performance, healthcare, and surgery on Mars. I became the youngest crew member and case study lead to join the mission control team for the UK's first ever analog space research mission. In between and alongside, I worked in project management and being an advocate for social mobility, a huge advocate. I began my term in office as Derby's youth mayor at the age of 16. My term included work to support the fight back for climate change, as well as helping young people to have equal opportunities to career routes and mental health services, no matter their background, no matter where they came from. You bring the mental health and the environment together and you get Miko, and you get me. And that's why I'm qualified to bring this project to life. That's who I am.
Moiz, you're gonna smash this pitch. I'm just a little worried though. You've been working really hard lately. You're looking after yourself, right? And taking breaks?
Yeah. I mean, I make sure to get at least a 10-minute walk in at least a couple times a week.
Moiz, I mean proper rest. You're working crazy amount of hours and this isn't sustainable.
The thing is, this project needs the hours. It needs the time. I know you're right, but this extra work will pay off. I just need to keep pushing.
You've been pushing forever now, and you need your rest. When I said introduce yourself, I wasn't talking about your work. I was talking about what's under all of that. Under all of the work and accomplishments. Side of yourself that you won't even give the time of day. Side of yourself that you've neglected. and the part that really makes you qualified to lead and deliver a project on mental health. Who are you outside of all this work, all of these roles and projects?
Outside of work, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am outside of work. I don't know.
Moiz, I feel like I see a side of you that the rest of the world just doesn't. You know, they look and see this successful individual, an analog astronaut. You know, people dream to be an astronaut as children, and yet here you are following that through and working hard. You know, you go on these simulated space missions, solo travel the world, visiting one new country a month, and you do it all alone. You know, all alone, table for one. You go out there and you make friends from all over the planet. You work at this big engineering firm, you're doing so well, speaking in front of hundreds of people and attending conferences all over the place. You know, frankly, when you come up in conversation with other people, they're either in awe or they're just intimidated and insecure. But when I see you, you just seem empty.
Too young to look away. I think back to what I could have said. Now I'm on the phone with your mom again. She told me what you couldn't say. I'm too sick to leave my bed, 'cause I can't get you out my head. So why don't you come over and talk about everything? You don't wanna do this anymore. My life has been boring, and I'll forget everything. I don't wanna do this anymore. Why don't you stay longer? Why don't we hold on for a little more time? 'Cause I don't know how to move on from all that we've been through. And now I resent you, and every person tells me I should just forget you. Is you passing by, think all is through?
I need to give these people a call back appointment. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time.
Okay, hear me out, hear me out. Stargazing trip. It's a meteor shower this week, and I know you can't miss it. Okay, let's just go. I've already checked the forecast, it's great. We can go at sunset, set up the telescope, camp out. We can even catch the sunrise in the morning.
I actually hate you. You know I can't say no to a stargazing trip.
I don't get it. Also, what do you like about this so much?
Like about stargazing?
Yeah.
It's like the best thing in the world, you know? You get to like lie down and out into the earth. You get to reconnect with her, and you look up into the sky and you start to see these white specks appear. And the longer you look, the more you see. And before you know it, you've got a whole black canvas painted with these seemingly quiet and small specks of light. But the reality is there's hundreds of chemical reactions going on. They're so loud and fierce, yet here we are. And it kind of just makes you feel less alone, you know? The universe is your witness, and you're no longer by yourself. You're no longer alone.
Do you often feel like that? Like, alone, and that people can't hear you?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I do. I think I feel it quite a lot of the time. I think I've like romanticized like traveling the world by myself, solo traveling, going on solo dates, and I absolutely love it. But I think just because I've romanticized it doesn't mean it's not there anymore.
What's that like? You know,
What's what like?
your life as Moiz, you know, through your shoes, through your eyes. Well, what's, you know, your human experience like?
My human experience? I suppose I don't really have a cohort the way that other people do. You know, I don't have a cohort of people to go through life with. I started my career really early and very quickly became an outlier. I was, I was like labelled as too old for people our own age. And it seemed like I was too young for the rest of the world. Too inexperienced for the rest of the world, but too experienced for others. And I think I started solo travelling. I started travelling around the world all by myself. Solo date nights, table for one. And as much as I loved it, I think I was romanticising that isolation, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. I think I've started to come to the realisation and acceptance, really, that in order to feel that connection with others, I really have to accept all of the components that make me, me.
Trying to get to talking to the
Accept all of the components that make me, me. So how do I start?
I mean, what parts of yourself do you ignore?
A lot. I think I went through a lot, and like a lot of people, I sort of intellectualized it. I put it in a box and stored it away and grew up. I got older and I thought I just sorted it out, but it followed me. And in our community, we just don't really talk about these things.
Yeah. Like that thing of like, log kya kahenge?
Log kya kahenge? What will people say? I was literally 11 years old when I developed an eating disorder. If you ask me what success looked like to me back then, success was finishing the day feeling starved, feeling like my own stomach was swallowing me whole. Success to me at 11 years old was feeling that pain. That 11-year-old felt so accomplished. My body dysmorphia was way out of control.
Yeah, I remember at like lunch, you'd only have like fruit pots and water.
And here I was thinking it wasn't obvious. That body dysmorphia interfered with my self-worth. And quite quickly I fell into a depression. I was too anxious to speak with anyone, and before you know it, I found myself hanging out under the stairs alone at lunch.
That pain of like starving yourself alone every night. How could you keep it up for so long? Like, did your family never notice?
Of course they did. You know what our community is like. Like, food is literally our love language. Like, we just always eating and always giving food and always sharing food. It's such a big part of our culture. And that's why it was so incomprehensible to them. Like, the whole concept was so foreign. Just like this country. They just didn't know what to do.
That seems so lonely. Like, how did you get through it?
To be frank, I started self-harming. I'd cut my body and watch it bleed. It gave me a real sense of relief, as if every cut and drop of blood was like the depression oozing out of my body. And it lasted years, but it wasn't enough. I needed more.
Did you find more?
I tried to take my own life. It evidently failed. And I was referred for support, but the support system isn't designed for people like us. you know, like having immigrant parents and who quite literally went through hell to just give me a chance at life. They left everything and everyone behind. They looked at poverty straight in the eyes. They crossed borders and faced challenges all alone. And I don't think I can even comprehend that the fear that they must have felt in their hearts. So when my white therapist gave me tips and advice, she did so without carrying the weight of my parents' sacrifice, without understanding the weight of my culture and my background and my heritage and what it all meant.
Yeah, I get you. Like our parents, they sacrificed their childhood dreams so that we could live out ours. Like everything we have now, it's all that they could ever dream of having.
Yeah.
But don't you think that sometimes we should just carry their lessons through life with us and not just, you know, the sacrifice that they gave up, everything that they gave up?
Shouldn't we carry both? We can't disconnect from their sacrifice because it's deep ingrained into our upbringing, and we wouldn't be us without them and the choices they made. We need to learn from their lessons and make independent choices. They are the ones who taught us what freedom really means, what it means making choices for yourself, no matter how hard or no matter how difficult they might be. They were doing the best that they could.
And aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's been a journey, that's for sure. My parents put me into counselling, but the counselling didn't work. Like I said, it was having someone who just didn't get it, you know. And so I decided to move schools. I think that the isolation was too much, and I needed to just get out of there. I wanted to move away from a place where it felt like everyone would whisper about me. It felt like everyone knew how screwed up I was. So I did it. I moved schools, and it was probably the best decision I made. It was a school full of culture, you know. I remember very clearly, like every lunchtime we'd listen to either Afro beats or Asian music. And quite frankly, you know, people would bring in lunch that they really loved. You know, they'd bring in their cultural food, and you didn't have any fear of being called like a curry muncher. You know, everyone was just like so almost like content and proud of who they were. And I think being in that sort of environment was absolutely life-changing, really. It was so new to me. And it only went uphill. It was the best. I thrived. I quickly fell back in love with school, and I made so many friends. It was like one big community, really. Like everyone knew everyone. It was a small school, and no one knew what I was going through or what I had gone through. And I think I decided then that no one would ever know again.
Did you like people not knowing?
I think so. I think I was so immersed in school. I moved up academically really quickly, and at one point I even started delivering workshops to those in years above me. I started my application for the youth mayor election, and I won. School finished and I went full steam ahead. And before you know it, I was speaking at conferences, started my research papers, I started my career and going on space missions. I was doing it all, but I neglected that part of myself that needed looking after. I was doing all of these things, but still having anxiety attacks and self-harming in between and no one knew what's going on. I was thriving on the outside, but suffering behind doors, thinking it was okay. I remember being nominated for a National Youth Role Model Award, and I just couldn't help think, I'm no role model at all. You know, no one knows what I really do behind closed doors. But then again, how would they when I don't talk about it? I kept it to myself and myself only.
Are you ashamed of it?
I think so. I think I became so disconnected with it all. You know, like I said, I put it in a box and just never touched it again. I soon became numb to self-harm, and very grimly, I started running out of space. Instead, I'd spend all of my time and every minute working. And granted, there's much worse things to get addicted to, and I became addicted to work. It reached that point where I'd start self-harming again, just to stay awake. Just so I'd stay awake and do more work, complete it all. Because if I didn't have a goal in mind, if I didn't have something I was working towards, then what was I doing here? As if I couldn't simply exist.
Saying it out loud, that you self-harmed, do you still feel ashamed of it?
I think so. I think I'm still accepting. I think I'm still accepting that I did it, that it was actually me and not just some stranger in the past that did it. It was actually me. I'd set a goal and achieve it, and I'd do it, and then do it again, and do it again, and again. Because if I didn't have a goal that I was working towards, if I didn't have something, then what was I doing here? As if I couldn't simply just exist. No one really understood. You know, I was moving so fast and it felt like I was leaving everyone behind. And I was alone. And even then I neglected myself. I didn't give myself any space to process anything that I was going through. I became this overachiever that everyone put on a pedestal, when in reality, I'm just a lonely 20-year-old. I'm just a lonely 20-year-old. I'm just a lonely 20-year-old.
So how's life now?
I think it's a lot better, you know. Having a brown therapist, I think really makes all the difference.
How long you been seeing her?
It's almost been a year now.
And I think having someone who just understands the cultural implications and expectations, they just get it, you know. They get all of it. And I think that sort of representation really saves lives. Having someone who can really see you and understand the whole you. I think sometimes in our community, those sorts of professions are looked down upon, and I think that needs to change. Because it's those people who really save us when we need it.
I love you. If there's anything to take away, please remember this. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be able to share your human experience. We are vessels with limitless boundaries, made from clay and stardust. We are each other's witnesses. The only vessels that know my truth are you. Only the stars know.
I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I know I messed up bad. I should have done better. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, for all the time I had to get my life together, but I didn't. 1993, you gave birth to me, sweet little baby girl, had the world at my feet before I could even stand. Cradled me in your right and your left hand, a precious bundle of unmade plans, hopes and dreams of bigger things, a bright future, or so it seemed. Oh, but that light grew